and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to show you my new cookery book, Gifts from Grandpa. To show you my new recipe book, Gifts from Grandpa. But before I do, if you are new to my channel, then hello and welcome. It's lovely to have you here. And if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more, then I normally upload every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday at 7 AM. But for the month of December, I've decided to do Vlogmas. So I'll be uploading a video every day for 24 days. I'm hoping to go to 31, but I'm not sure yet. But yes, if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more, then please don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. So today I want to show you my new book, Gifts from Grandpa. Gifts from Grandpa is a book written by me and is published by me as well. I've decided to self-publish my own recipe book. I already write a blog, googie'skitchenlife.com, which I will link in the description box below for you. So about this time last year, I decided that I wanted to write a recipe book. My husband had told me that you can now self-publish on Amazon, so that's what I've done. It took me a year to write this book, and I decided that I wanted to write a book about my dad's recipes. My dad was an amazing cook, and I really enjoyed his cooking, and I wanted to share that with people as well. So I decided to write about his recipes and his cooking style. And my friend actually gave me this idea. She said that I should write a book called Gifts from Grandma. And I thought, well, that does sound good, but my grandmothers didn't really cook. They could cook and they weren't bad cooks either, but they didn't enjoy it as much as my dad did. And my dad always wanted to be called Grandpa, so when my son Ted was born, that's what we called him. We called him Grandpa. So I decided to name the book Gifts from Grandpa. And yeah, so I've based the recipes on my dad's recipes. My dad was, as I said, an amazing cook, and he had some brilliant recipes. So I decided to write the book based around his recipes. I started the book probably about this time last year, so just after Christmas. I wrote an introduction to the book, and that gave me a basic idea. So I started with the introduction. So I had a basic idea of how I wanted the book to go once I'd written the introduction. And then I decided on the sorts of recipes I wanted in the book. So I started to think of the things I used to eat as a child and a young adult, like the things my dad would cook for us as children. I also thought that this was quite unique, having a father that cooked, especially during the 80s. Not many men cooked during the 80s, only like top chefs and professionals and stuff. So having a dad that cooked was quite amazing. I actually say in the book that my mum always used to get complimented by other women because women would say to her, oh, I've got to go home and do the cooking, and she'd be like, oh, my husband's doing it tonight, and they'd be like, oh, you're so lucky having a husband that cooks. So I mentioned that in the book as well, and I think it is quite unique. And I also wanted to put in there, the kitchen table was also the heart of our home. So the kitchen was always the place that we'd go when we wanted to talk about things, and the kitchen table played a massive part, a massive role in our family life, and I love that. And when I moved out, I always wanted a big kitchen with a kitchen table in it, which I have now. So yes, I always imagined that when I was older. As a child, I always imagined having a kitchen with a kitchen table in it, just because I love the kitchen being the heart of the home. I think that's so important in a family. And I also think that having healthy meals on the table with lots of vegetables is also really important. So I've tried to incorporate that in this recipe book as well. So once I started to think of the recipes that my dad used to make when I was younger, I then started started to cook them and practice them, and we had them several times in this house. Some of them I did and they worked brilliantly, and others I had to sort of practice and tweak a little bit. I also gave up sugar and processed food probably about 3 years ago now, maybe 4 I think, and so I like to cook with fresh ingredients. So I don't like to use too much sugar in my food, and I don't like to use processed foods either. So, and you will find that in this book as well, that all of the recipes in here are actually cooked using non-processed foods. So there is sugar in here, obviously, but I try to use things like brown sugar and coconut sugar rather than refined sugar that you buy in the supermarket. So yes. So there's those sorts of recipes. So once I'd thought of all the recipes, I then decided to start putting the book together. So the first thing I did was start with the front cover. This seemed like the most logical place to start for me. As I did this in Publisher, it was easier just to go from the top to the bottom, really, if that makes sense. So I started with the front page, and I had a look at other cookery books and the sorts of pictures they use on the front cover, and they seem to have pictures of the chef on there or the person who's cooked the meals in the book. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that because my dad passed away a couple of years ago now. So I found a picture of him. Unfortunately, I didn't have one of him in his kitchen either. So yes, so I found a picture of him, which I thought was a lovely picture of him. It was a picture of him and my mum, and I cut him out of it. Sorry mum, but I had to do it. And I put this on the front, and then I decided to put the pictures of the foods that he used to cook all around him as well. And then I thought of the title. I put the title in, and I put this in down the bottom. I did do this in A4 to begin with, by the way, and that's a tip for you. If you are going to self-produce a book, I suggest that you go onto Amazon and see the size first, because my first draft was this big, and then I realised that I couldn't have it that big, so I had to scale everything down and get it this big. The front cover has also changed a little bit as well. This is one of the first produced books, but I've changed the cover so it sort of fits better on there now. Once I decided on the front cover, I then moved on to the inside of the book, and I started to design the inside of the book. So I started with these 2 pages first, and I put the journey begins here. So this is a little explanation of what the book is about, and then I put a few thank yous. So I've thanked everybody who's helped me in this process. Hopefully, there are a couple of people I missed out. My cousin Virginia did have a go at editing, so thank you very much, Virginia. And yes, and then I just started to design the book. So I put a contents page in, and I designed this myself, and I also started to think about not the sorts of recipes, but how I wanted the book to go. So I've started with soups, starters and salads, and then I've got main meals, fish dishes, roast dinners. I've also got vegetable dishes, desserts, cakes and biscuits, and then condiments and extras, and I've also got an index down the bottom as well. And in the contents page, it lists everything as well. So all of the meals, it lists in here as well. And then once I'd done that, I put my introduction in. So this is the introduction that I wrote last year. And then once the introduction was done, I then started to lay the book out, and I just started to decide on the photos that I wanted in here and how I wanted the photos to look. So I chose the pictures, and then I chose this. On Publisher, it's very limited on what you can do and can't do, so I had to pick very carefully, but I did choose these round rectangle boxes to put the pictures in, because I thought these were quite 80s, and I really liked that, because obviously the food that I was eating was in the 80s. I am an 80s child. I was born in 79, but I grew up in the 80s, so yes, I chose these rectangular boxes because they just remind me of an 80s sort of television, and then everything else I put in is square or round. I tried to keep everything consistent, so all the lettering should be the same size. I tried to keep the lettering the same on each page as well, so it all looks consistent and neat and tidy as well, I think. I'll show you a big picture. There you go. Beef burgers, that's a good one to show you. So yes, so all of the pictures I've taken myself, and the page layout I've done myself as well, and the contents I have done myself. The only thing I didn't do was the editing, and as I said, my husband did that. My lovely husband Howard edited this whole book, and then my cousin Virginia also edited the book as well, so thank you very much, Virginia. She came along at the last minute and did a little bit of editing as well, so that was brilliant. And then once I'd laid the book out and I knew where I wanted everything to go, I then gave it to my husband, who edited it. And then I had the mammoth task. Well, I thought it was going to be a mammoth task, but actually it wasn't too bad, of putting the index in. So I've done an index at the back of this book as well, and I did that myself. And basically what I did was I went through the lists of foods in the book, because they're the ingredients are the main bulk of the book. So I went through the list of foods and I listed out everything and what page they're on and what recipe they come under as well. I thought that was going to be a really difficult task, but actually it wasn't too bad. And then once I'd done that, I did have a different design for the back page. I had a picture of myself and then all the food around it, so similar to the front page. But when I went onto Amazon, unfortunately, you aren't able to do that. You aren't able to put your own back page on. They have a specific design in mind that they want you to use. So I just used their back page in the end, and that is the back page. It's got a quote from the book and a thank you from me up the top if you bought this book. So yes, I've self-published this book myself, and I'm really proud of myself for actually getting to the end and finishing a whole book and publishing it myself as well. It did take me a year, and I haven't got a massive audience, and I'm not worried about it. And I haven't got a huge group of friends who are all going to run out and buy this book. I know that. But I'm just really proud of myself for writing this book. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube that said don't self-publish, don't do it, you'll never make any money, you'll never be published again. And I thought to myself, Alexis, how many people do you know who've sat down, wrote a whole book themselves, and then gone and published it on Amazon and tried to sell it? How many people do you know that have done that? So I watched one video, I think, that was it was a good video, and it showed you how to write a whole book yourself. It was a podcast and they put it up on YouTube as a video, and it was very interesting. But it did say in this video you'll have to get a photographer to take all the photographs, you'll have to get someone to do the page design, so in the end it's going to cost you money. And I thought, not necessarily. I mean, these photographs I've taken, okay, they're taken on a mobile phone, but mobile phones nowadays have very good cameras on them, and if you angle it right, you can get a really good photo sometimes. And I feel like the photos I've put in here are really good. I really like them, so that's all that matters to me. And also, I went on a course when I was in my 20s, which is quite a long time ago now. Shh, don't tell anybody. So I'd learned in university, I studied journalism, and in journalism I'd learned how to use Publisher, but I'd learned how to use it on Apple Mac. So when I was unemployed, very long time ago now, but when I was unemployed, the job centre, when they were being nice, sent me on a course which was in a little college above a furniture shop. It was a very strange place, but it was really cool. And in there, I was able to learn about Microsoft Office. Now, I knew a lot about Microsoft Office, but I didn't know a lot about it in detail. So this is where I learned about it in detail. And one of the courses in this Microsoft Office course was learning Publisher on Microsoft. So I learned how to use Publisher on Microsoft, and I thought, I haven't needed to use a page designer, I haven't needed to use a photographer. Everything in this book I've done myself, so I really don't mind if nobody buys it. It's absolutely okay. I'm just really proud of myself that I've actually managed to finish a book. I think this is a massive achievement, and it's made my 2018, I have to say. But if you are interested in buying gifts from Grandpa, I will link it in the description box below for you. There are 57 recipes in here, and it is just £19.99 on Amazon. Plus, it was my dad's belief that everybody should have a home and everybody should have a place to go to. He always used to tell me when I was travelling that I could always go home, and that meant the world to me. So I've decided to donate £1 from the sale of each book to the homeless charity Crisis. So that's how I've written, produced and self-published my own cookery book, Gifts from Grandpa, and that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below. Have you thought about self-publishing your own book, or have you? I'd love to know, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.